I think three key areas I would actually summarize: integrity in thought, transparency in action, and accountability in delivery. Dealing with large sums of public money, which is actually not only uska delivery mein we should have accountability, but the decision making mein that will reflect on the way that we finish our projects within the scheduled time. So transparency as well as decisive decision making is key to actually projects ka finalization or the outcome of every project that is conceived. Not taught as a compliance requirement, which comes in an organization, but if it automatically comes to you and it is built into your conscience, probity, the virtues of integrity in your thought, so organization compliance requirement will automatically actually evolve out of it, and then every organization excels.
नमस्कार, द विजिलेंट माइंड पॉडकास्ट सीरीज़ में आप सबका स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपका होस्ट रंजन भारती। जैसा कि आपने देखा, हमने हमारे पिछले सेशंस में एपिसोड्स में हमने बात की है राउरकेला स्टील प्लांट के टॉप लीडरशिप के साथ, और विषय रहा है विजिलेंस आवर शेयर्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। इस विषय को समझने के लिए इसके क्या मायने हैं, हमने हर क्षेत्र के टॉप लीडरशिप से बात की। आज इसको समझने के लिए और इसको हमारे एम्प्लॉयज़ तक पहुंचाने के लिए आज हमारे साथ उपस्थित हैं राउरकेला स्टील प्लांट के एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर प्रोजेक्ट्स माननीय श्री सुदीप पाल चौधरी सर। सर, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है सर इस एपिसोड में। नमस्कार सर। जैसा कि आपको मालूम ही है सर कि इस साल जो हम लोग विजिलेंस अवेयरनेस वीक ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं, इसका जो थीम है वो है विजिलेंस आवर शेयर्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। सर, इस कंसेप्ट को थोड़ा हमारे दर्शकों के लिए समझने के लिए कुछ आप मैसेज दें सर।
Thank you. I will start by congratulating the Vigilance Department in thinking of such a new initiative. To my mind, this is the first in sale, and it is a very good measure to reach out to the people through the captains of individual domains in the large organization like a steel plant. I actually compliment all your officers for thinking of such a good initiative.
Thank you, sir.
This year's theme actually resonates with everyone actually who knows vigilance and the importance of the idea of vigilance actually. Vigilance, a shared responsibility, actually defines that vigilance is not restricted to a department alone, that it has to be part of the culture of an organization, and every individual has a role in it. The organization actually evolves out of every individual's contribution in terms of ethical decision making, in terms of the transparency that he brings into his decision making, and in terms of the accountability that he brings in his delivery. That is how every organization evolves. And vigilance being a shared responsibility will actually push our organization to greater heights of excellence.
थैंक यू सर। एक्चुअली मेरा अगला पॉइंट ऑफ डिस्कशन यही था कि हाउ दिस कंसेप्ट ऑफ शेयर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी विल ब्रिंग प्रॉबिटी एंड एफिकेसी इन आवर सिस्टम। तो आपने अच्छे से उसको बुलाया सर।
I've already spoken a few words on that, but every individual actually is important to the organization. We are largely a hierarchical organization, and in projects domain actually I would actually speak out because it is projects department which has built the past for Rourkela steel plant. It is building this future for Rourkela steel plant. And projects department involves large investments. It is important that every individual actually stands up, delivers. The decision making has to be quick. The decision making has to be decisive, as well as the decision making must fall within the procedures laid out in the ED works or the ED projects procedures that is in vogue in the plant, as well as the overall guidelines of PCP, as well as the CVO advisories that come from time to time. So every individual must be conscious of these procedures and guidelines that are there. Every individual must go through that, and then only the decision making can be transparent. The decision making can stand the scrutiny of time.
So some message to your employees in projects, because projects is a very complex process, managing a project, conceiving a project, and the whole process is a complex process. So how this shared responsibility, sharing the responsibility of vigilance by the project officers is going to be something of their own good in their day-to-day working.
You see, this shared responsibility vision, what it imbibes is that we have this Roko-Toko approach in maintenance, we have this Roko-Toko approach in safety. It is as good in vigilance. If I have a friend whom I think is rushed into a decision which does not follow the guidelines or which is actually circumventing the guidelines, it is our responsibility to point it out to that friend. It is our responsibility to point it out to a genius when certain fallacies actually are made in scrutiny or in dealing with a file. Everyone has to correct. That is the essence of this hierarchical organization, and that is how vigilance can spread as a culture. That is the entire theme of this year's tagline, that vigilance is a shared responsibility.
Sir, the whole objective behind all these activities like observing Vigilance Awareness Week, having themes every year, the whole objective behind it is to bring transparency, accountability and integrity in the system as well as the managers of the system. Sir, your words of wisdom and some guidelines for your people, sir, in this regard.
See, integrity in the thought process is something which comes very easily to the way हम लोग का जो अपना upbringings है, in the way that we are taught in our schools at the very elementary level, in the way God has blessed every individual actually. He has given him a conscience actually. It is sometimes that conscience always drives you to the right path. It is sometimes that the head overrules the heart. And we are drawn towards taking a decision which is not right or which will not stand the scrutiny of time. Now, having said that, हम लोग का projects department में we do have this culture and we are building on that culture that transparency should be the essence of every decision making, because here decision making involves dealing with large sums of public money, which is actually not only uska delivery mein we should have accountability, but the decision making mein that will reflect on the way that we finish our projects within the scheduled time. So transparency as well as decisive decision making is key to actually projects ka finalization or the outcome of every project that is conceived.
Sir, moving ahead, आपने थोड़ा टच अप ऑन किया है इस सब्जेक्ट पे, लेकिन जस्ट जैसे कि सर एक अच्छे एम्प्लॉय को वी ऑलवेज पैट ऑन द बैक कि भाई यू हैव डन गुड एंड ऑफन गिव क्रेडिट टू देयर स्पाउसेस, टू देयर फैमिली. सिमिलरली सर, इस फील्ड में लाइक हैविंग इंटेग्रिटी, हैविंग अ गुड कंडक्ट इन द ऑफिस, इन द वर्क प्लेस, हाउ फार इज द रोल ऑफ फैमिली behind an employee?
I did touch on that subject. Actually, it is family, friends, your basic schooling, the way that you spend times in your colleges. Actually, large part of what we are taught in our day-to-day life or in our the way we have carried ourselves in our schools or colleges. A large part of the curriculum as well as the thought process actually speaks of righteousness, of integrity, of probity. And these are actually taught as virtues to be carried through in your life, not taught as a compliance requirement, which comes in an organization. But if it automatically comes to you and it is built into your conscience, probity, the virtues of integrity in your thought, so organization compliance requirement will automatically actually evolve out of it, and then every organization excels. So this is part of that.
Sir, moving ahead, sir. जैसे ये तो हम आज की बात कर रहे हैं और नियर फ्यूचर की बात कर रहे हैं, बट हाउ फार इज द रोल ऑफ ए फैमिली in making a good society in near future, coming future, when we are envisaging a developed nation in some years to come?
Absolutely. The role of family comes in the way of shaping. You see, society is shaped by the way we are brought up by our parents, with the way that we bring up our children. And every father, every mother guides his children or his offsprings to the path of righteousness and integrity. That is how our parents have taught us. That is how we want our children to grow. And that is how large societies evolve. In fact, I can actually change the paradigm a little and speak on the way actually you see the Scandinavian countries. For example, all the Scandinavian countries actually come within the first 10 of the Transparency International rankings in terms of the corruption index. And India is still a long way to grow. But if you see, India is one of the oldest cultures, one of the strongest cultures in terms of ethical values. A lot of great religious thoughts have come from this great country. A lot of religions have evolved out of this great country, and all of them speak on the values of righteousness, on the values of integrity, on the values of clarity in thought. So we have a great culture, and we need to actually take our country forward, organization by organization, family by family. We deserve a place among the first 10 in the world. And this is how it can grow. As you told, family by family, friend by friend, hierarchy by hierarchy, organization by organization, and then state by state, and then the country as a whole. I think there is some organization which is also going for state ranking in terms of the transparency, or in terms of the ease in which you can install a project in a particular state in India. That ranking is already there, and these things actually bring in that competitive edge also, and the awareness in people also, that we need to grow and we need to take our country forward.
Oh, thank you, sir, for putting it so beautifully, role of a family in shaping our society and moving ahead. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. Sir, moving ahead, normally, like in a process like projects where things are so complex, a lot of paperwork is required to be done. And within that, sometimes vigilance also intervenes on some occasions. So many times, vigilance is then thought of as an impediment to the process. So your vast experience in the industry, like from your past experiences also, can you just put few words on this aspect, like whether vigilance is an impediment, or so that our frontline managers, those who are in the process, they are also aligned with the shared responsibility theme?
It's a brilliant question actually. मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि vigilance is actually in the mind. Vigilance, we see vigilance as a department. We actually get alerted by vigilance. But vigilance is a department which encourages transparency. Vigilance has a great role in preventive vigilance, which at least in RSP, it has been an outstanding department in terms of actually the preventive part of vigilance is concerned. And as I have elucidated in my earlier year, that as long as we stick to the path of integrity in thought, transparency in action, and accountability in delivery, these are the key things, and every one of us is blessed with that. It is part of every human character. As long as we encourage these things, these are the ethical values that Vigilance Department speaks of. And in Projects Department, actually, I have always we have to walk a very fine line. You see, the fear of punitive vigilance may deter decision making, which is not actually thought of, and which is not the idea of vigilance also. And this idea I have been able to carry through to my people. It needs wider resonance in the minds of my officers as well as the employees of the larger projects departments. That vigilance actually allows you to take decisions which will stand the scrutiny of time, and therefore, if you are following the guidelines of the organization, the well laid out guidelines, the well thought out guidelines, our PCP is a very well documented guideline, and if you are following them, you have nothing to fear. In fact, that will promote decisive decision making as against risk aversion actually.
Thank you, sir, for cleaning the air. Moving ahead, again, it is related to, you have touched upon that aspect also earlier in your previous message. Many times, vigilance is conceived as a punitive body.
Yeah.
But at vigilance,
That is what we need to carry forward. I think largely in RSP that awareness has not come, and that awareness has really come that vigilance is about preventive in making your decisions accountable, making your decisions follow the government guidelines, which is the bigger umbrella on which our own guidelines are made, and conforming to these guidelines and actually brings in, gives in more to the organization. Actually, if you, that awareness must come in all of our minds that if we actually truly stick to these guidelines, if we imbibe the ideas of transparency through digitalization, large-scale digitalization is need of the hour, and our company, as all of us knows, have embraced digitalization in a large way. We have recently gone to a consultant actually, so that the earlier ideas of encouraging individual decisions can now take a collective, what should I say, a sweep across the organization of digitalization and its thought. This will actually usher in larger transparency, larger reflections on the way that our decision making is being made, and a larger reach out to the audiences actually.
so again, you have touched upon my next subject that I was going to discuss with you. It was regarding technology and digitalization in our processes. Once again, if you can give some message to your employees, like how to take advantage of all these new technologies. And
this is a subject dear to my heart, and this is a subject actually last 2 or 3 years has really taken up pace in our organization, and I think we are in the right direction. We cannot see digitalization is that what is proverbially called as the elephant in the room. It is already there. It is there in every organization, and we have to realize and embrace it and push it actually. In projects department actually, we have very recently taken up our digital project management system. This system actually has the capability to transform the way projects is thought of, or the way projects has been handled in the past, largely because of digitalization. What used to happen in the past, as a small example if I can give, the project manager changes or he retires, there used to be discontinuity, there used to be a vacuum as far as the proper file handling or the paper handling was concerned from one officer to the other officer. Now everything is documented digitally. Every exchanges with our contractors and vendors are actually on a digital platform and is getting well documented. The tendering process have gone through e-tendering, which is a very transformed platform. So it is yielding dividends in a big way. We are soon actually embarking on the process of tracing the file actually in a digital method. Just as we do in stores, we actually check our inventories in a digital method. These have the potential of transformative change actually, and we have been quick to embrace it on. As an organization, as a department, as a domain of projects also, we are doing our best to bring digitalization in the forefront, to bring around this transparency into our actions.
Thank you, sir. Sir, many times like it is said that project manager को काफ़ी मतलब प्रेशर रहता है मीटिंग द टारगेट्स. प्रोजेक्ट तो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रोसेस है, राइट फ्रॉम टेंडरिंग से लेकर के एग्जीक्यूशन तक. तो मेनी टाइम्स ऐसा टफ कंडीशंस में डिसीजन भी लेना है, फास्ट डिसीजन लेना है, तुरंत डिसीजन लेना है, सो दैट सम डिलीवरेबल्स आर देयर. While agencies like Vigilance, Audit, they have this facility of having everything before them because the things have all happened. Now they have access to all those information, everything. So it makes their life more easier, it is said. So while I assure that in Vigilance will take due care because we have all the access to all those things that has happened in the past, and we'll take due care in ascertaining the motive and all those things. But what message you will give to those project managers who are working in these tough conditions, taking decisions on fast-paced decisions they have to take, so that they align with this theme of vigilance, a shared responsibility, and their actions should be like that, so that at a later stage they are not in trouble of any type. And they are also empowered and confident in taking decisions.
Absolutely. In a projects department, actually, for any project to reach its finality within the scheduled time frame, which is actually, I think, the yardstick on which every project management must be evaluated, whether we have met the scheduled timeline or whether we are before the scheduled timeline. In RSP today, in the projects department, actually, we have set in very tough timelines. Actually, we have set timelines which are ahead of the finishing schedule. And to enable this process, decisive decision making is a need of the hour. However, going back to your question of whether decision making comes into conflict, or whether decisive decision making can be very part of the process. In fact, the guidelines and the processes are so detailed. Decision making, if you go through these guidelines and you go through the procedure, decision making is actually enabled quickly. So we cannot have any further confusion in your mind. It actually guides you to a decision making rather than this fear of that I should not have a hurried decision making because I have to stand scrutiny later or I may be punished. That should be out of our mind. Rather, we should embrace the laid out guard standing, reach out to the seniors as and when required for guidance, if any confusion. But decisive decision making is a need of our as far as project management is concerned.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Moving ahead, like many other aspects, in projects also we have a lot of interactions with third party, like contractors. So this vigilance, our shared responsibility, how much it is relevant when we talk about our business partners, contractors, maybe customers also, how to onboard them, what message you will give to your employees so that they onboard these business partners also and align with this theme of vigilance, a shared responsibility.
You have already rightly used the word actually. This word of partner, actually we have chosen for each of our contractors, vendors, customers. They are actually in our partners in progress as well as our partners in delivery. Now this ambience, this ecosystem of transparency, this ecosystem of integrity, this is something that spreads. As I have given you the example of Scandinavian countries, see, it spreads from nation to nation. You see, all the adjacent nations in one cluster comes among the top 5 in the world. So that is something. If you create the ecosystem, man by man, officer by officer, employee by employee, it spreads out to your contractors, your vendors. They feel comfortable to come out in that system and deliver. And they also are now aware that they have to deliver within the system, within the timeline thought of them. And they are held accountable actually for what is contracted in the contract.
So now that we have come to the conclusion of the session, sir, your final message to our audience, since we are observing Vigilance Awareness Week this week from 27th of October to 2nd of November with this theme of Vigilance as Shared Responsibility, particularly not that this theme is important for this week only, since Vigilance is a 24/7 activity. So with all this, what's your final message, sir, for our audience, which will guide them in...
Vigilance is a 24/7 activity. Vigilance has to be part of not a compliance requirement, but an organizational culture. Vigilance actually is imbibed in each of our minds. We have to follow the path of probity. Each one of us have a responsibility towards ethical decision making. I think 3 key areas I would actually summarize: integrity in thought, transparency in action, and accountability in delivery. All of us has a responsibility towards that. And I think Vigilance Department has done a wonderful job in spreading this awareness through this week in conducting different activities throughout the plant. And all of us have a responsibility towards adhering to the goals that are set out. The awareness is there. We have to imbibe it into our culture.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for taking out some time for us and talking to our viewers. So, viewers, that was Executive Director Projects for you. The key takeaway and the very well put up mantra for us is integrity in our thoughts, transparency in our action, and accountability in our deliverables. With that, I take a goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.